My name is Kyle, and I don't even know where to begin. This is the most horrifying experience I've ever had in my entire life. Well, I guess I should just start from the beginning. It was the last day of school for the year, and my friends and I were going to celebrate it by having an all-nighter sleepover. It's important to add that my friends were not exactly good influences, but then again, neither was I. I went home to get my Xbox 360. Yeah, this was a long time ago. My friends Darren and Chris, however, had another activity planned for the night. They wanted to play with a Ouija board. Being the good and well behaved kid that I was, I made sure not to tell my mom and dad that I was going to be dabbling with the darkness. So after grabbing my console and some controllers, I left and went to Darren's house where our sleepover was going to take place. Darren's mom made us some sandwiches, but she had no idea of our nefarious night planned ahead. We played Halo for hours. Darren and Chris were my friends, but oh man, did they suck at Halo. After Darren's mom went to sleep, we shut off the Xbox and immediately took the Ouija board out. Looking back on this, I wish I would have never done this, because even so many years later, I can still see Chris's face in my dreams. Chris's face when he saw Darren still gives me chills, but I won't rush ahead. So we took out the Ouija board, and of course, being dumb kids, we didn't obey any of the so-called rules of the Ouija board. Darren wanted to be the one asking questions. Darren started off with dumb questions like, "What's your name? What's your favorite food? What Pokemon do you like best?" Chris and I couldn't stop laughing. We thought it was a joke. But that laughter didn't last long because suddenly the planchette actually started to move. But not in response to any of Darren's silly questions. The planchette kept going back and forth, spelling mama. At first, me and Chris thought it was just Darren playing some more jokes, but Darren promised it wasn't him. Darren even began crying and saying repeatedly that it wasn't him moving it. The planchette and the board levitated off the floor and flew and hit the door. Seeing that, we all started screaming. The light shut off, and that made us only scream more. Darren's mom woke up and ran to the bedroom, but of course the door was shut and locked. And she kept saying, "What's going on? Open the door!" Me and Chris, however, were too scared to move. And then it happened. Darren began growling, and he even floated off the floor. I looked over at Chris, and I have never seen anyone in my entire life more scared than Chris was that night. Darren, or whatever was in Darren that night, leapt at Chris and began scratching him. Finally, Darren's mom bust down the door, and she grabbed Darren off of Chris. Darren's face immediately softened and he went back to normal. Chris just got up and ran out of the room, and all I could hear him was crying all the way down the stairs. I still couldn't move because of how scared and shocked I was. Darren's mom called Chris's dad to come pick him up, and then she called my mom to come pick me up. Our friendship was never the same after that, and not too long after, we all ended up splitting ways. I don't know whatever happened to Chris and Darren later on in their life, but I do know this. I'm never touching a Ouija board ever again in my life.